He never believed himself to be a god, not truly, but he understood that the world needed him to be more than mortal, an embodiment of divine power, untouchable, unquestionable. Without that belief, his throne would be just a chair, and his empire a fragile illusion. This need to be worshipped, to be seen as a god, is no accident. It is a weapon of the highest order, a cult of personality forged in the fire of fear and fascination. The rulers who wielded it knew exactly what they were doing. They knew the godly mask was a lie, but they needed everyone else to wear it. In the sun-scorched lands of ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was the living god on earth. To the people, he was the embodiment of Horus, the falcon-headed deity who bridged heaven and earth. But behind the gold and the rituals, the pharaoh was a man, vulnerable and mortal like anyone else. The grand temples, the towering statues, the elaborate ceremonies, all carefully crafted illusions. They weren't just religious acts, they were political theater designed to obliterate doubt. The pharaoh's divinity was a narrative, a story repeated so many times it became a truth harder than stone. This story was a psychological fortress. The pharaoh's identity wasn't just king, it was God, judge, and savior. To collapse that image was to destabilize the entire order of society. It was an identity collapse so profound that it threatened chaos itself. Far from Egypt, in the vast expanse of the Roman Empire, rulers played a similarly dangerous game. Take Caligula, one of the most infamous emperors, whose reign was marked by madness and excess. He knew he wasn't a god, but he demanded to be worshipped as Jupiter incarnate. Caligula's world was a stage where madness and divinity collided. His outrageous claims of godhood were not just eccentricities, but deliberate strategies to cement his control. Fear mixed with awe made his subjects question reality itself. The line between man and deity blurred dangerously under his rule. Caligula's madness might have been real or performative, but the message was clear. Worship was not optional. To deny his divinity was to invite ruin. This is the cruel paradox of the cult of personality. It demands total belief, yet it rests on a lie. The ruler's identity swells to fill the space of divinity, but inside, the man knows the truth. He is mortal, flawed, terrified of losing control. The Kim dynasty in North Korea is a chilling modern echo of this ancient theater. The regime meticulously crafts an image of Kim Il-sung and his descendants as eternal leaders, larger than life, immortal even. Statues, portraits, endless propaganda proclaim their godlike status. The truth behind the propaganda is stark. These men are human, deeply flawed, and desperate to maintain the myth. The cult around them is an elaborate mechanism to suppress doubt and enforce loyalty. The cost is a total collapse of personal and collective identity under the weight of false divinity. Their power depends on this manufactured godhood, a psychological trap that binds the people's perception to a single, unchallengeable truth. The leader is infallible, omnipotent, eternal. The moment that belief fractures, the regime's foundations tremble. The illusion of divinity is not just about power, it's about survival. Survival of the ruler's ego, of his regime, and of a carefully constructed social order. Without the mask of godhood, the ruler becomes vulnerable, a mere mortal lost in the tides of history. Throughout history, this dance between man and myth has been a constant. Pharaohs, emperors, dictators, they all understood that belief was their greatest weapon and greatest weakness. They built empires on the shifting sands of faith and fear. This dynamic is terrifying because it forces everyone to participate in a grand deception. The people worship what they know cannot be true. The ruler performs what he knows cannot last. It's a collective act of psychological survival. This collapse of identity, both for ruler and ruled, creates a dangerous tension. The ruler needs to be godlike to rule, but in becoming godlike, he risks losing touch with reality. spiraling into paranoia and madness. The people, in worshipping a myth, risk losing their sense of truth and self. It's a power struggle inside the mind as much as on the throne. The ruler's ego must become a god to command loyalty, while his heart knows it's just a man hiding behind a mask. The people must believe in a lie to maintain order, but that lie can shatter at any moment. Pharaohs built colossal pyramids and statues, not just to honor the gods, but to eternally imprint their divine image on the world. Each stone was a reminder. This man is beyond death, beyond challenge. The psychological weight of that monument was a tool of control, as heavy as the stone itself. Roman emperors issued coins bearing their divine portraits, decreed temples in their name, and held games and sacrifices as gods among men. It was not vanity, it was strategy. In a world of shifting loyalties and deadly politics, divinity was the ultimate shield. Caligula's reign is often remembered for its cruelty and madness, but beneath the chaos was a calculated manipulation of belief. His demand for worship, his claims of divinity, were tools to terrorize and command obedience. Madness blurred with power to create a legend that survives millennia. In North Korea, the Kim dynasty's personality cult is a meticulously engineered psychological system. The leaders are portrayed as omniscient, omnipresent, and eternal, a modern pharaoh and emperor rolled into one. Their portraits watch from every wall. Their voices echo through every broadcast. The regime's power depends on this myth. Doubt is dangerous. Disloyalty punishable by death. The cult of personality transforms ordinary citizens into worshippers, erasing personal identity beneath a collective devotion to a false god. This is the ultimate identity collapse. The ruler must embody godhood. The people must embody worship. Both lose themselves in the process. The ruler becomes a symbol, hollowed out by the myth he must sustain. The people become shadows of themselves, living in fear and forced adoration. The cult of personality reveals a harsh truth. Absolute power is never given. It's seized and held only through illusion. The rulers who play God know that their divinity is fragile, a story they must tell and retell until it becomes unassailable. But history also shows that no myth lasts forever. Empires built on false divinity eventually crumble when reality seeps through cracks in the narrative. When the people stop believing, the god falls, and with him, the world he built. This tension between truth and myth, man and God, is at the heart of human history. It is a story of ambition and fear, of identity forged and shattered. The rulers who mastered this game held the world in their hands, but always at the cost of losing themselves. In the end, the gods they claimed to be were shadows cast by fragile mortals. Their power was the power of belief, and belief is a double-edged sword. It can raise men to divinity or tear them down to dust. He knew he was not God, but without the world's belief, he was nothing. And so he wore the mask, commanded the worship, and lived inside the lie, because in that lie, he found his only chance at immortality.